Marty Supreme has officially released in theaters, starring the up and rising star Timothy Chalamet. I went ahead and saw that movie in theaters, and I actually really enjoyed it. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about it, give some of the things that I do like, give a full movie review of the movie, and give it a rating there at the end. So starting out, what this movie actually is it is a genuine hustle story about a kid that is really wanting to make it by playing ping pong. And the thing is that he is willing to stop at no lengths in any way, shape, or form to get to that goal. So he has multiple tournaments that are going to be overseas that he needs to attend, and he needs to get as much money as possible to be able to get to those events. So let's go ahead and start. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the things that I did like about this movie. Overall, I thought that this movie was really good. At the beginning, when I first saw the movie actually being introduced and the trailer that had been released for it, I thought this was going to be a sports movie. The way that it was talked about, the way that it was portrayed, it seemed like it was going to be a typical sports movie about somebody that was trying as hard as they possibly could to make it playing ping pong. And while that was kind of like a subgenre of the movie itself, there was still so much that was involved in this movie that had nothing to do with ping pong overall. Genuinely, this story was more so about the overall hustle and everything that it took for Timothy Chalamet's character to get to where it was that he wanted to be. Now, Timothy Chalamet's character in this movie is very hard to root for at the beginning. You can definitely tell that he is not a great guy at the beginning of the movie, but the payoff in the end works so well that I think it really doesn't matter too much. Now, before I dive into anything else about what I specifically really liked about this movie and what I didn't like so much about this movie, I am going to go ahead and say that this is a spoiler review. So if you have not seen this movie yet, please click off of it. I do not want to spoil anything for you guys. Just click off of it while you still can. Now, starting off this movie, the cinematography in this movie was absolutely a masterpiece. I love the way that this movie was shot. I love the way that it was portrayed as to the intensity of everything that was going on. And as you were sitting there and as you were watching it, you could just tell. You could just tell that the characters were very intense. You could tell that the acting was very good in this movie. And they portrayed it so well with the shots that they did have that it amplified that meaning so much more. There was a scene that it was in particular. I am seriously going to be thinking about it for weeks to come. And truthfully, if I were to just see this one scene, it's about 10 to 15 minutes long. If I were to see this 10 to 15 minute scene over and over again, I would go to the movies just to be able to see that scene. It was truly that good. But the scene that I'm talking about is, if you guys have seen it, there's a scene where we follow a young individual that is going up it looks like a ladder of some sorts, and you're watching it in third person. And as this person is making their way through the crowd, because this takes place in the final match. So this is during the final match of the overseas where they were playing. The young individual, we are following him up the ladder, and it is in third person. And as they get to the front of the line, and as they are able to get to a point to where they can watch the match, we are able to see it switch, like visibly switch. You are watching that final match there in first person. It seriously is a fantastically shot scene. My jaw was on the floor whenever I watched it. They used like the shaky cam to really make you feel like you were right there. And then in that last scene, you watch these two play ping pong. And I know I've never personally been invested so much in a game of ping pong in my entire life. They portray it so well. They do such a good job with that. I absolutely loved it. Next, we have to talk about the acting of Timothy Chalamet. I mean, this was a true representation of what our future is going to look like in cinema, and he is just killing it. I mean, you can start with like the way that he was in this movie. It was a much more serious role. He played the most arrogant dude in the world. As I mentioned at the beginning of this review, it was so hard to root for this guy because it was so agonizing to watch. He was miserable at the very beginning. However, something absolutely switched, and you start to root for this guy about halfway to three-quarters of the way through, and you are wanting him to succeed in the worst way. So he has a very serious role in here, but this dude can just act. He has played in so many different roles, from the Dune movies all the way over to Beautiful Boy whenever he was officially getting a startup in his movie career. Then you go to much more of a silly role in Wonka that is considered like a musical, and he is in this very like goofy role, and he still is the best part of that movie far and away. This man takes his roles so incredibly serious, and I commend him for that, because it was documented that he has been practicing ping pong so that way he could be the actual actor in this movie. He practiced ping pong for 5 years. Even when he was on the Dune sets, you saw that he had a ping pong table set up to be able to practice for this movie in particular. This dude really took the mentality of trying to be the best ping pong player that he possibly could for this role, and you could even tell there was an interaction that Marty had with somebody that was talking about, what if you're not the best ping pong player out there? And he even said, like, it doesn't even enter my consciousness. And obviously, that's a line that they wrote, but at the same time, you could tell in his face, like, he warped his brain to be able to believe that he truly was the best ping pong player for that point in time. And he is just phenomenal in this movie. So even if you were just to sit there and watch 2 hours of Timothy Chalamet, I mean, it would be amazing. Now, while Timothy Chalamet was a fantastic piece to this movie, I do have to go ahead and talk a little bit about the way that the movie was written, because this would have been a 5-star for me if it was not portrayed the way that it was in the trailers. Now, I can always get behind a good underdog story. I can always get behind somebody that is going to do exactly what is needed to be done to get to that next level. However, I do feel like in this movie, they portrayed this movie in the trailer to be a sports movie, and unfortunately, it just wasn't. And it's not anything against the actors because they did what they possibly could. However, you see this movie as one big hustle. You see where Marty is there and he is just a horrible human being for the first half to three-fourths of this movie, and he is doing everything that he possibly can to get this money to be able to play at the end of it all. And while the story was cool, while you were able to sit there and you were able to watch, oh, this is what he had to do to be able to get to this point in time, it just did not strike me the way that it paid off. If you've seen this movie, you see that at the very end, he is humiliated down to the core because he wants to go through and play in this ping pong match. But he is humiliated and then finally brought to where he needs to be to earn enough money to play in the finals, and everything just kind of leaves on one big question mark. It leaves on one big cliffhanger, and that I'm just not a huge fan of. Just putting it into perspective, he is at one point in time at somebody's house that is able to provide him with enough funds to play in the championships that he was originally set to go to. And he is at this party in front of multiple people, and his past actions are catching up to him now, and the person that could fund him enough money to be able to get there is somebody that he is having a affair with the guy's wife. And so if that's not crazy enough, he goes back to the guy and says, hey, whatever you need me to do, I will do it. Get me to those finals. And like, that is what I want to do. And so this guy has him literally drop his drawers and spank him with none other than a ping pong paddle in front of multiple billionaire people, just to be able to take him to this location. At this location, he's basically like a circus act for all of these people that are in attendance to watch him lose to Endo, which was his like rival throughout the entire movie. And so the part that really didn't strike me to be okay was that, he is humiliated in front of all of these people. He loses the match just like how he's supposed to. Then there's this moment where he's like, that was not me. I obviously lost that on purpose. Like, I could have definitely won this match. I gave up so many points that would have been easy for me to get, but I was told not to win this match, and so because of that, that's why I'm here right now. So then they have this huge redemption match where he turns everything all the way around, and he says, okay, well, you know what? I am just going to put my foot down. I'm going to beat Endo, and we are going to move on from all of this. Hopefully I can make it to the actual championships. So he goes all the way. He ends up winning this match. So the guy that brought him there and was funding all of this, even though he won, he even said, like, you're not going to the finals anyway. And then afterwards, he just goes home, into which his lifelong best friend has his kid. And so I just was not a fan of the rushed ending. I felt like it was incredibly rushed. If we could have got some more time to figure out what kind of happened in between, I think I would have really enjoyed this movie enough to put it at a 5-star. The action in this movie was great. The acting in this movie was great. I just felt like the last 30 minutes, like, despite the overall incredible match, and I will be thinking about that, as I mentioned, for weeks to come. I just feel like there was something missing overall when it comes to the very ending of that movie. I feel like they just did not tie the bow at the end, and that does make me a little sad. Even if we could have gotten a little bit more of a build up to where we were able to see Marty with the best friend that he was having the baby with, but we really just didn't even get to see any sort of a connection there at the end. And it does stink overall. But nonetheless, this movie was still amazing. As I mentioned, it is a fantastic movie. If you guys can watch it in theaters, which is what it was originally designed for, please go ahead and do so. It was an amazing movie. This movie was a true meaning of the desire for money is the true root of all evil, because Marty went to extreme lengths to show that no matter what he did, everything was for money, and it did not matter who he stepped on the toes of on the way. And I think that's a good lesson for everybody to take away. Overall, I do go ahead and give this movie a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I still really love this movie, and it could have easily been a 5-star if that ending would have ended a little bit better. I just wasn't super happy with the ending, but nonetheless, it was still a fantastic movie. So get out to the movie theaters and watch it if you can. So let me know if you guys did enjoy this movie, or if you guys got a chance to go out and see it, what your true and honest thoughts of it were. Did you guys agree with me? Did you guys disagree with me? Either way, are you going to be going out to watching this movie, or are you going to be passing on this one? I do want to hear everybody's thoughts down below. Make sure to hit that like button down below and subscribe for more movie reviews and reactions just like this one. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next screening.